Igbos never lose any war. Neither will Nigerians are the one that fought Igbos or fought that Biafran war. It was British and Russia supplying them weapons. And when they discovered that the weapons they are supplying cannot penetrate, Awolowo will come in. I will always say it. It was Awolowo, British, and the Russians that fought the Biafrans. It was not Nigerians. It was not the Hausa people. So when Awolowo deployed his massive strategy of hunger, Ojukwu, being a wise man, being a hero, being a man that loves his people, decided to say, let me give a chance. Instead of me watching my people to die, since they are blocked, the Cameroonians have blocked where they can use to bring food, and then there's no food coming. What the sense? What a good father. What a good father. We watch his children dying of hunger and he will not want to do anything. And that's why I decided to give chances. Okay.
I know you have to reason like your father. You have the same brain. I'm not insulting your father, so, but you people have the same brain. Look at the country they hand over to you people. You organize a coup to destroy the country they hand over to you. The police, military. You are the head of everything. You were the head of everything except the Prime Minister, Tafawa Balewa. Police, custom, military, the vice president, the senate president. You were the head of everything. Look at the country. You drag the whole nation to war. And you want to claim for me, Debo, and at the same time claim me hungry. Are you not ashamed? So you declare war, you don't prepare. You don't think of what you will eat. Nigeria will be feeding you, and you will be fighting war. Nigerian government will be feeding you. And at the same time, you must be mad. You reason like your fathers. You people will never learn. You are the same like your fathers. You are blaming Awo. Awo is the reason why you are stupid. For me, Ojukwu love his children. He loves children. Ladies and gentlemen, watch this video.
If civil war comes, and I do think it is imminent, you're quite right. It will for us be the price of freedom. Our people here have for a long time been prepared for this eventuality, and I am confident of their readiness. I think that when it does come, that the people on the other side would be surprised as to what they're going to get. And I'm confident that it will not last long. I can't say for certain what Lagos has got.
Look at his eyes. He was so happy. He really think he can defeat Nigeria. He said when the war starts, we must go to war. But when the war starts, the people on the other side, they are going to surprise what they will get. He was bragging. He was full of hope that yes, this criminal, he was full of hope that he can, look at his eye, get it done, this is a criminal who dragged his people to a war because of he wanted power. That's the truth. We must continue to tell the world the real truth, whether you like it or not. Ojukwu was nothing but power drunk, a criminal who dragged people into war. They were sending him food. We are going to talk about what he did with the food they sent to him. He was feeding his soldiers instead of his people. He was posting pictures of Pachoko children to deceive the world. The world was sympathizing with them. It was later they now realized Ojukwu were doing propaganda with that pictures. During the war, the first people who protested against the war and said enough of this war were the Benin's, the University of Benin students. Don't worry, we'll break it down one by one. Let me play you a video now of the France and other countries who were supplying them weapons, who were with them.
The Nigerians had failed to realize was that the Biafran state had secured the support of a foreign benefactor of its own. Although the only countries to publicly recognize the state of Biafra were Tanzania, Gabon, the Ivory Coast, Zambia, and Haiti, Charles de Gaulle's France had taken a secret interest in Biafra as it saw it as the perfect addition to its sphere of influence in West Africa. According to French President Charles de Gaulle, Biafra was a just and noble cause. And so, working closely with the French-aligned governments of the Ivory Coast under President Félix Houphouët-Boigny and the Gabonese Republic, led by President Omar Bongo, the French government helped to prolong the war by providing Biafra with weapons, mercenary fighters, and as much food as could be smuggled past the Nigerian blockade. France also publicized Biafra's cause on the international stage, describing the situation as nothing short of a genocide. The eventual discovery of France's involvement in the war would lead to protests on the streets of Lagos, with many accusing the French government of being the real reason why the war had continued, despite the fact that the Biafran forces had very little chance of overcoming the Nigerian military. But did France really get involved in the war simply because Charles de Gaulle considered Biafra to be a just and noble cause? Well, not exactly. France's involvement was all about economics and had very little to do with some romantic desire for the Biafran people to share in the French ideals of liberté, égalité, and fraternité. Later investigations will show how the French state-owned oil company ELF had secured lucrative drilling agreements with the Biafran state. Had Biafra successfully seceded from Nigeria, these agreements would have guaranteed ELF access to the equivalent of 7% of Nigeria's oil supply and given the French government a nice slice of the Nigerian pie, which since the discovery of oil back in 1956 had been enjoyed solely by the Shell BP oil company. Although the French government tried to keep its ties to Biafra secret, General Ojukwu did very little to hide his country's French connection. From as early as the first year of the war, General Ojukwu had already begun to suggest that French would be made compulsory in Biafran secondary, technical, and teacher training schools. In his own words, he was very keen for his people to benefit from the rich culture of the French-speaking world. As the death toll began to rise exponentially, the whole world was becoming more aware of the level of carnage and immense suffering of the Biafran people. The Nigerian diaspora was galvanized, and protests and counter-protests began to take place on the streets of London and New York. Some Nigerians blamed General Ojukwu for the deaths of his own people, arguing that by continuing in a war that he knew fully well he could not win, he was putting his personal ambition ahead of the lives of millions of people. But for many in the Biafran diaspora, the economic blockade was nothing short of a vicious genocide aimed at exterminating the Igbo people once and for all.
You see, the country that were, supporting them, France and all other countries in Africa, supplying them weapons and food. Tell me what Ojukwu were doing with the food they were sending to him. He generally keep making videos talking about the food Nigeria were sending them. Ojukwu prevented the food. He said they want to poison our people. And meanwhile, he was selling the food. We were selling the food to his soldiers and left these kids, these women to be suffering. Show me one video where the soldiers look like Machoko. It's only the kids. It was so that he go and post the picture to UN using it was a propagandist. That's the reason why I will make a video and tell you how he died. The story of how Ojukwu hand, tell you how he was suffering, how God punished him. We'll show you that video. But meanwhile, let me play you this video of this our Yoruba brother. Let him confirm what I am saying.
The people hold on to the lies because it gives them a sense of identity. That's the problem. It's not that there's no war in this world without propaganda. It's a fact. But when you grow up, let me give you one crazy example. When you grow up and you discover, let me give you an example. I'll give you two examples. One is from Robert Goldstein. I mentioned him earlier. Robert Goldstein wrote a letter in 1968. He was a PR representative for Biafra in the United States. His letter is online. You can find it. You don't have to buy a book to even find his letter. It's online. He mentioned what Ojukwu was doing with his people. He mentioned that Ojukwu was not allowing food to enter the eastern region. He mentioned that even at that time, the federal government had given him money for the eastern region. He had to return that money. I think it was about £200,000. He mentioned that when they were trying to bring food into the space, Ojukwu said he didn't want food from in the land corridor, that it has to come as airdrop. Ojukwu was not see, if you really know my heart sincerely, it's about, my heart is actually, I'm on the side of the Igbo people. They just don't know it. The person who caused you hurt, who caused you pain, who let people die and took pictures and put it in Life magazine, who do you think that person was? They knew they were going to lose, but they were trying to get world opinion on their side. And so he ensured that food was not getting to the people. So the people who died of starvation died not because of Nigeria primarily, was because of Ojukwu himself.
This is what I have been saying here. Ojukwu were deceiving his people, using baby, all those children, hungry children. He starved his people for nothing, for him to remain in power, to deceive the world to come and bomb the rest of us. They now discovered that he's the one lying to the world, and he ran away. Let me stop here so that the video will not be too long. Thank you and God bless.